today's math in the news. Now, Mary Lou, you said that you hoped it had nothing to do with food. Because your belly's grumbling a little bit today, right? Mine always is, so no need to worry about that at all. Today, it does have nothing to do with food. All right? It is a big night tonight, going into tomorrow morning. All right? Because, have you heard of the blood moon?
Not until just a couple minutes ago.
All right, well, you know what?
I have not.
We now know of the blood moon. Let me tell you about the blood moon, all right? The second and final total lunar eclipse of 2014 will occur early Wednesday morning, just before sunrise in the Eastern time zone, and in the middle of the night out here on the West Coast. So if you stay up late, you can probably see this quite nicely, okay? The moon will appear a coppery red, so it's been called a blood moon. Now, there's other types of moons, right? The harvest moon. What are some other moons? You guys remember hearing any other?
Well, they had the supermoon or whatever it was.
Right, the brightness of it.
Right, and the size, too, is actually bigger. It's closer.
Blue moon.
Blue moon,
Right. Once in a blue moon, once in a blood moon. Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, actually, okay. So it'll look red because of all the sunsets and sunrises from Earth that will reflect onto the lunar surface. A lunar eclipse occurs when the sun, Earth, and full moon form a nearly straight line so that the full moon passes through the Earth's shadow called the umbra. Okay? So, that's the event happening. So let's get to the math behind all of this. All right? A lovely moon it is.
It's beautiful.
A lovely coppery red. The blood moon. All right. So let's bring it in here. So what I figured is we'll take a look at the times. So it'll start at 6:25 a.m. Eastern, and then you can see Central, Mountain, and Pacific how the time changes, the hours going across the country. Continue until 7:24 a.m. Eastern time. So it's about an hour that you've got in order to view the blood moon. So here you see a map of the world, and if you're in the middle of the Pacific, you would see the blood moon quite intensely.
Wow.
Okay. However, here you can see the legend, the intense red. Observers within this area can see the eclipse from beginning to end, so they'll see the whole thing without problem. The red shading left, west, you'll see during the end of the day, start of night. The other side, during the end of night, start of day. No coloring. Now, there are people in the world that will not see this. Okay? So we move on. A total eclipse of the moon. So tonight, October 7th, into the 8th. And we can see the umbra right here, the darkest part right in the center. And you can see how as the moon is traveling during the different time periods. So you can see the total eclipse right in the center of it begins at 6:24 a.m. and ends at 7:24 a.m. Eastern time. So that whole time is going to take just about an hour for the moon to pass through that. So, obviously, let's come up with time zones now. So we'll tie this into a problem that we're going to do. So we have the Eastern time zone. You've got the Central. You've got the Mountain. And you've got the Twilight zone. That's what the West, the Pacific time zone, all right? And then, of course, you've got Hawaii and Alaska time. But a lot of students, it seems as though they get confused on trying to figure out time, especially when you're going forward. You know, and it extends into the next day sometimes, trying to figure out the number of hours. We're not going to go into something that complicated because this week we're kind of focusing on 4th grade this week. So a simple problem that I found that we'll take a look at in a moment. So I think I clicked on that and it's going to bring us, we don't want that. And here we are. We'll get rid of that one. Ask me later, thank you. If it's 7 p.m. in the Eastern time zone, what time is it in the Mountain time zone? And a lot of students, especially in California, will understand if, especially with TV, right? It's on at 8 o'clock in the East. What time is it in the West? Well, they are grown up with that, kind of like, oh, it's 5. I already know that that's what it's going to be. 11 and 8 and things like that. So putting a different time zone in here for them. So if it's 7 in the East, all they need to do is just move over the time zones. The one in the Central would be 6. In the Mountain, it would be 5. So just a simple problem right there for some of the fourth grade students, and those students getting used to the time zones. And are you going to stay up late tonight?
Yes, I'd like to see that.
See
Or
the blood
set my
moon?
alarm and get up and look at it.
It's only once in a blood moon. That is today's Math in the News.